Are we in France?
Why is he not? Where's his Champions League? Where's Gianluigi Buffon?
Don't start talking.
This is why he kept you back, man.
It's a Mickey Mouse bus parade. It's a joke.
One Italian maestro takes on 6 Premier League fans. These boys have a big job on their hands. This is called FanZone 1v6. Let's go!
The Serie A's peak is superior to the Premier League's peak.
Absolutely not. The peak of the Premier League was the early 2000s up to the 2010s. And in terms of the teams that were consistently challenging in Europe, semi-finals, finals, featuring in the last stages was Liverpool. Obviously, they won it in 2005 against AC Milan. Actually, an all-English final in 2008, I will actually say Chelsea United were actually one of the best teams in the world at that time. Arsenal, early 2000s, they featured in the Champions League final against Barcelona. English teams, early 2000s, they were dominating, constantly featuring in the semi-finals, finals. The only team in the Serie A that was really there consistently was AC Milan. And AC Milan even lost to Liverpool.
When?
08, 06, that
So
period.
in the 2000s, AC Milan were the only good Italian team.
Yeah.
Did you know in the 2000s, right, the majority of both Inter and Juventus in that 10-year stretch won more league titles. So AC Milan weren't the most dominant Italian team in general in the 2000s.
I was talking about Europe. I was talking about Europe because Europe is the pinnacle of club football. We had Liverpool in the final. Arsenal were making semis and quarters. Chelsea were in the finals, consistently making semis.
Okay.
Manchester United, they won one.
Have you finished your point now?
And they got to the final against Barca.
Okay, let me talk now. So you're talking about from 2000 to 2010 or the 10s as well you want to include?
Yeah, 2010.
Because I'll agree that in the 2010s, overall the Premier League is the best league. It's the highest peak, I 100% agree. In the 2000s, I would say like 2005, 2006 onwards is really where for me, the Premier League reached the high pinnacle.
Yeah.
If you look at the Serie A, they dominate the 80s, the 90s, all the way to the mid-2000s. That 25-year stretch, the Serie A was the best league in the world. That was the league where all the best players wanted to play in. I'm sure your relatives grew up watching in the 90s, the Football Italia show, which was shown on Channel 4. It was shown worldwide. Everyone wanted to play in the Serie A. Everyone watched the Serie A, had the best teams, had the best players. You want to talk about European dominance from 1989 to 1999. There were 8 victories in European Cup finals for Italian teams, and 13 teams made finals. That's dominance. That's heritage. You're being specific with your time frame, where in the 2000s, yes, maybe Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, United were making Champions League finals and winning Champions Leagues. But if I give you a different time frame, I can say the same for Italian teams. Juventus, AC Milan, Inter, Parma, Fiorentina, Lazio, Roma, all these guys were successful.
That's fine, but I'm talking about the most competitive period of football in history. And I'll say that's the 2000s. The 2000s upwards, that's the most entertaining and the best part of football. That's subjective. No, I would say that's not subjective.
What happens if I said the 2010s is the most interesting? What are you going to say?
I would say the most competitive, with the most star power and the most talent during that time was the 2000s to early 2010s. I'll say that's the biggest talent pool came from that period. And in that period, the Premier League teams were far superior than the Italian teams, definitely. Only AC Milan was really holding up for you guys. Juventus, what were Juventus doing in the 2005 upwards? What were Inter Milan featured in one final?
Okay, hold on. First of all,
but Inter Milan weren't.
Inter won the treble.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Name me an English team that won the treble.
We're talking about one-off season when Jose.
Yeah, but this is
there.
peak, isn't it?
I would like to reiterate the question to you: is Serie A's peak was greater than the Premier League's peak?
No, because the Premier League's peak was from 2000 to 2010, and in that time frame, the Premier League teams were dominating and more consistently featuring in Europe.
No, they're
especially
not.
in the latter stages.
They're not. I just told you there were 8 victories in European finals from 89 to 99 in the Serie A.
But that's not the most competitive period of football. The most competitive.
In your opinion?
No, factually.
No, it's
all
not.
the best football.
I would like to stop right there.
Footballing talent came from the 2000s.
I would like to stop you right there. Yes. Hold up. That is done. JS has received 3 red cards and he has been sent off. Next opponent. All right, Luca, continue.
So carrying on from his point, he named great players in the 2000s, but I can name great players from like the 80s to the 90s, and the majority of them played in the Serie A, peaked in the Serie A. Platini, Baggio, Ronaldo Fenomeno, Zidane, Del Piero, Totti, all these guys who are all-timer footballers, legends of the game, known worldwide. A lot of the Premier League legends are very Premier League legends and not footballing legends.
I would
these
argue
guys
against
that I
that
name,
point.
There's a few that obviously overlap. In that 10-year stretch as well, the best teams, the best clubs, the best players all peaked and played in the Serie A. Juventus, AC Milan, Inter, Napoli with Maradona, Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina, Parma. These are 8 clubs, top level clubs that all competed year in, year out in Europe and domestically. I don't think the Premier League's ever had 8 top level clubs competing both domestically and in Europe, like the Serie A.
So that peak era you're talking, would you say like late 80s to late 90s, would you say?
If you were to confine me to 10 years,
Confined 10 years, yeah.
then yes. But I would say it really stretched from the early
Yeah.
80s, because even 85, Juventus beat Liverpool in a European Cup final, to really 2005, 2006 when Calciopoli happened.
Okay, so I'll give you 80 to 99. Let's just say that as a brief example.
Okay.
And you're saying it's the peak. I think the quality of football in that era wasn't as good as it is now. For I don't think there was less tactics. You had Arsene Wenger come over to Europe specifically and introduce sports science and stuff like that. So the game was different. You had a lot of Italians back there. They love their cigars and their cigarettes before and after games and stuff. The level of football wasn't as high as it is when the Premier League sort of took over. And obviously that's a lot to do with the money and what happened there. So I do understand that. But if we're talking peak, do I think the players and the teams that you listed in that 80 to 99 period would have been able to compete in the 2000-2010 period of the Premier League? I don't think so. I think Roberto Baggio, great player, a lot of people know about him. But I don't think many people know about him as David Beckham or Thierry Henry from the Premier League eras. Of course, I know they both played in Italy, but from the Premier League eras, them two names alone are known more worldwide than any of the names you just mentioned.
In terms of fame, maybe. But I'm saying in terms of on the pitch, Baggio's superior to Beckham. That's not even a debate. Henry, Baggio too.
How would you define peak? Would you say it's ability, like the players, how they're playing, viewership, money?
If you're talking about viewership, money, it's kind of unfair because streaming rights play into it. So of course the Premier League is generating a lot of money. It's different eras, like you said. So I would say more in terms of consistency, in terms of peaks, in terms of on the pitch, how good the players were. Guys like Henry, Bergkamp, these guys came from Italy. They would have learnt a lot in Italy. And I'm sure Henry as well, he's spoken about a lot, how he grew a lot in Italy. Of course he peaked at Arsenal, but he grew a lot in Italy. These guys came from Italy
and had their peak in England.
100%. But they came from Italy and they helped form what the Premier League is today. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in that era, a lot of players were moving away from Italy to England that weren't getting a lot of game time because Henry wasn't playing a lot at Juventus. But the best of the best played in the Serie A and wanted to play in the Serie A.
But when you say best of the best, I'm talking about players that have done it for, I don't know, if we mentioned Scholes or Lampard or Gerrard, these guys are doing 15 years plus. Have any of them players done 15 years plus in that era? So are there any players that you can name like a Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes that have done that from that era that you're talking about?
Maybe not for 15 years, but also you need to consider that players, great Premier League players, for example, like the likes of Kenny Dalglish, they weren't doing it for 15 years.
No, of course.
But do you still show respect to those players?
No, of course, show respect, but I'm talking about
because it's a different generation of football.
Luca, how many Ballon d'Or winners have come from Italy and the Serie A?
Well, the Premier League has 7 Ballon d'Or victories. The Serie A has 18. And if you went off my time frame from 89, because 88 Van Basten won it and Gullit won it in 87, so we can't even consider them. Van Basten 89, 90 Mateus, played for Inter, 92 Van Basten, 93 Baggio, 97 Ronaldo, the phenomenal at Inter, 98 Zidane. So all these guys were the best players in the world categorically playing in the Serie A.
For a very short span of time.
Peak.
So but we're talking peak times. We said 10-year era at the start, correct?
Yes, I named you 10 years.
And
hold up, I would like to stop you right there because that is 3 red cards and JF, you have been sent off. Alright, Luca, pick up where you left off.
Talking about players and eras of football, I would go as far to say that only one Premier League player could even get into the Serie A all-time 11. That's the level of talent and footballers I'm talking about. We can't compare.
That's very cool, but we can start off at the number 1 position, and I've already got somebody that goes into yes. Who are you going to give me? Gianluigi Buffon. Where's his Champions League? Where's Gianluigi Buffon's Champions League?
I know where he is.
I can give you a load of Premier League goalkeepers I've got a Champions League. I can start off with my goalkeeper, Peter Schmeichel. Okay. I can start off with my second goalkeeper, Edwin van der Sar.
The same guy that wasn't good enough to play in the Serie A.
Who's also got good enough to play for one of the biggest clubs in the entire world, Manchester United.
Wasn't good enough in Italy, though.
That's not the point. He's got a Champions League. Where's Buffon? We're talking about combined. I'm going for Peter Schmeichel. You could go for Czech. You could go for Alisson. You could go for Van der Sar. But I'm going for Peter Schmeichel.
Can I just get?
Who I think is the greatest Premier League goalkeeper.
Hold on a minute, just please.
Yes.
Can I please get hands up if you agree that Buffon is not in the combined 11?
No. He's sold his soul.
Czech is better than Buffon.
He's not. How can he be in the combined 11 if he doesn't even have a Champions League to his name?
Right.
There's multiple Premier League goalkeepers.
So
not saying they're better necessarily.
Wait, hold on a minute. Scott Carson is better than Buffon because
he didn't play in the Champions League final.
So Ederson. Hold on a minute. So Ederson is better than Buffon.
Like I said, if you heard the point I said, there's multiple goalkeepers that have won the Champions League from the Premier League. But the names that I can give you, 2 especially, who I strongly believe are better than Gianluigi Buffon are Peter Schmeichel and Petr Cech. That's 2 goalkeepers. You can choose for me. Go Petr Cech, go Peter Schmeichel. I don't mind.
I think that Cech is the best Premier League keeper of all time, in my opinion. But he's
So
not
we can go
comparable.
Petr Cech.
No, we're not.
Why not?
Who's we?
Why not?
Are we in France?
Why is he not?
No, we. You understand? You don't understand.
Why is he not? Tell me.
Because Buffon can only, the only two keepers that can chat to Buffon are Neuer and Casillas. If you talk about
Why are they the only two?
let me finish.
Let Luca finish his point.
Buffon has the prime, he has the longevity. Buffon started in the 90s, ended in the 2020s. And in 2023, he got a man of the match performance for Parma against Inter, the best team in the country, at 44 years old. He was in the World Team of the Year at 39 in 2017. When you talk about Champions Leagues, yes, Buffon doesn't have a Champions League. He lost 3 finals, very unfortunate. In the 2003 final, hold on a minute, pause right there. Don't start talking. In 2003 final, when we went to penalties, Buffon kept us in that game. It should have been 1-0. Inzaghi, go look it up. I don't know if you're older than me, you should remember the header he saved. On Inzaghi, one of the greatest saves of all time. 2006, hold on a minute, don't start talking. I'm not finished. 2006, he could have easily won the Ballon d'Or. Him and Pirlo were Italy's most important players in that 2006 run, not Cannavaro. You remember the save on Zidane in the final? When you talk about 2015 Champions League final again, the save on Iniesta, one of the greatest saves of all time. So you're talking about he's not turning up in the Champions League. Just because he doesn't have a trophy, you can't base club accolades on individual brilliance.
Luca, can you name me the rest of your XI?
So yeah, Buffon in goal, Cafu right back, Nesta and Baresi centre backs, left back Maldini, Pirlo at the base, Platini, Zidane, Maradona, Van Basten, and Ronaldo the phenomenal.
It's a good 11, man. It's a good 11.
But
like
what is your starting 11?
I'll go obviously Petr Cech superior to Buffon in goal. I'll go right back Kyle Walker. I'll go centre back John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, left back Ashley Cole. In the middle, I'll go Steven Gerrard. I'll go Kevin De Bruyne, and I'll go Paul Scholes. Like I said, we don't need to get into second and third 11s. We can do that another time. Left wing, I'll go Cristiano Ronaldo. No, actually, right wing, I'll go Cristiano Ronaldo. Left wing, I'll go Thierry Henry. And up front, I'll go Wayne Rooney.
Those were very, very strong teams. Let us know in the comments your thoughts and who you think is better. Was the Serie A's peak better than the Premier League's? Decide in the comments, drop a like and follow up.
The Serie A is the most entertaining league in Europe right now.
It just depends on if you like 0-0 draws. That's definitely entertaining. I think the numbers, there's been 17 0-0s in Serie A already this season. Last season in the Premier League, there was 16 total combined in the whole season. The top scorer in Serie A is Çalhanoğlu with 5 goals, I think, and I think 2 or 3 already from penalties. For us, Erling Haaland with 14 goals. And with entertainment factor, it's a lot about storyline as well. I think you had the champions Liverpool this year came, obviously tragic loss, and in the start of the season, 5 goals. All the winning goals came after the 83rd minute. Very, very entertaining. Then went on to lose the next 2 games of last minute defeats, Stamford Bridge, Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park as well. You also talk about the rise of the newly promoted clubs, because with the Premier League, as much as the top level talent is great, it's also about the underdog story and a lot of great clubs doing well. When you talk about entertainment, the Premier League value that it has, I think, is clearly superior than Serie A.
Okay, yeah, I think you made some fair points. I do think the Premier League is the best league in the world anyway. I think the highest quality of football is in England. But I think the 0-0 draws is maybe surprising to you, but it's not very surprising to an avid watcher of Italian football. We know that Italian football throughout history has been based upon defences. We know that it's a very defensive league. It's very tactical, from catenaccio to zonal pressing to all these things that have flourished from the Serie A. So that's not surprising. There's also been some really good games in the Serie A this season that you can nominate. 4-3 between Juventus and Inter, for example. That was one of the best games of the season so far in general. What I mean by entertainment, I think it's more the Scudetto race, the title race. In England, for me, there's a clear favourite. Maybe you guys disagree, but for me, Arsenal is the clear favourite. But I think the Premier League will be between Arsenal and City. In the Serie A, you cannot name who the concrete favourite is. There isn't one. There's 1 point separating first and fourth. I think there's like 4 points separating first and seventh. It's very, very tight. The race for Europe, the race for the Scudetto race, even the relegation race, season upon season, it always goes down to the final match day. Look at the last 5 years. There's been 4 different winners. Juventus in 2020, Inter 21 and 24, AC Milan 22, and then Napoli 23 and 25. For a different winner between City and Liverpool, you have to go back to 2017 in the Premier League, which was Chelsea. Now, the quality of football is 100% better than the Premier League, but quality and entertainment, they don't really go hand in hand. Therefore, that's why I believe that Serie A is the most entertaining league. You can't predict the winner, and there's been so many different winners in the last 5 years.
Arsenal have been the best team in English football for the last 3-4 years. Arsenal have 0 Premier Leagues to show for it. And that entertainment factor tells you, because are Arsenal going to finally get over the line? I think there's a lot of great storylines from when you've had Liverpool, City going head to head. Liverpool only losing 1 game, City being the Centurions 100 points, Liverpool having 99 and 97 points and still not winning the Premier League, winning on 92 points. The entertainment level and the factor of kind of the last day going back to
the Rooney against Sunderland and then Aguero moment when you had the Nottingham Forest, for example, last season getting into European football. And now look at them, they've changed their manager once, changed their manager again, and to have it, we've had the Tottenhams and United, the biggest clubs in... Sorry, Tottenham. Man United, the biggest clubs in England, where they're finishing 15th, 16th in the table, but still winning European football. As much as I respect Serie A football, I just think with the quality of football that you've admitted that the Premier League does excel in it, with the entertainment factor of what's going to happen in that, is this relegated team going to be this team, how it's going to end up, I think for myself, the Premier League is far more entertaining than Serie A.
I get what you're saying. I could do the same points for Serie A, for example. Fiorentina, they haven't won a single game so far this season. Last year, they were fighting for European spots. A few years ago, they were in Europa League finals, Conference League finals. They were going far in Europe. Como, breath of fresh air, like you said about Sunderland. The football that Como playing, a serious team. They beat my team, Juventus, for example. They're pushing for Europe. They could potentially finish in the Champions League. Even in Europe, go back to 2024, Atalanta winning the Europa League, beating Leverkusen. Nobody expected that. They beat Liverpool, of course, on the way. That, again, underdog story. I get what you're saying, but even in Europe, Serie A teams have been going far with the lack of money they're spending. I think your points are valid, but here I think we're just gonna agree to disagree because it's subjective at the end of the day. I prefer watching Serie A.
Comment down below who you think won that. Is the Serie A the most entertaining league in Europe? Comment down below. Drop a like and subscribe to Go FanZone. On to the next round.
Italian football culture is clear of English football culture.
Maybe in the past, I may agree with that. However, right now, I think there's a lot of factors that can prove against that. For example, in my opinion, especially when you watch Serie A games compared to Premier League games, you might agree with me, you might not, but I think the atmosphere in most Serie A games is quite dull actually, especially if it's not the big teams playing. A lot of the time, I've heard even players say that when they're playing in the games, they don't get that same atmosphere that they do in the Premier League, where every little tackle, every little thing that happens means much more. And that stems back to the fan culture, like I said. And then we go back to, for example, I'll speak about the FA Cup, the magic of the FA Cup, all the way down to like step 4, step 5 football, Sunday league teams. You got hashtag United participating in the FA Cup. You got all these things, these magical moments that are created because of the football culture, the fan culture that's created at these games that they go to. So that's why I think the football culture in England is better than Italy right now.
Well, it's not about right now, it's just in general. I don't think football culture you can really rank on a season for season basis, you know, it's just embedded almost in the country. I do think the FA Cup is an incredible tournament, but same as the Coppa Italia, which is the equivalent of the FA Cup. Bologna won it last season. Incredible story, incredible journey for them, beating AC Milan in a final, an Italian giant. In terms of the atmosphere, I completely disagree with you. The atmosphere in general in Italy is a lot better than the Premier League. And I think that stems also from the commercialization of the Premier League. Tickets are very unaffordable in England for the average football fan, but in Italy they put the fans first. They're almost capped at I think 50 or 60 euros a ticket for normal seats, excluding like hospitality and stuff. And even if you're to go to Serie B games, Palermo, they're selling out their stadium. They're singing, they're chanting, the pyros, the flares, everything there it's almost engraved in people. It's almost like a club is a son of a father. It's like a brother to a person. It's like it's part of their history. And then if we go to different cities, Torino, Milano, Roma, Napoli, these cities here are shaped by football. You go to Naples, for example, you see Maradona murals everywhere. You don't get the same in England in any city. He's almost worshipped like a god, which I don't agree with, by the way. It's crazy, in my opinion. But for them, it's crazy. Do you see what I mean? The level at which they adore these players. They shape the cities. When you go to Italy, the second question you ask after asking someone's name is, what team do you support? It's just it's a generic response. It might be the same in England.
I think it's the same here. And also, if you speak about the murals and stuff, I've seen players less than Maradona get murals. I've seen Trent Alexander-Arnold get a mural. Like,
you have set-piece codes getting murals.
That's what I'm saying. Nicolas Jover's got the mural. So if you're talking about how obsessive the fans are with the football culture, you say, do they ask the same question? Of course, I think it's the first question they ask over here. What team do you support? You go down to the Championship, you go down to League One, teams that are fighting for playoff spots, relegations, the atmosphere there is ridiculous. You go down to Sunday League, any Sunday League match across the country, you won't believe the amount of fans that these guys generate. I don't think they have that in Italy.
No, they do, for sure. It's embedded. It's
do you think it's as big as Sunday League culture?
Sunday League isn't a thing in Italy, really, like it is in England. But that's non-professional football.
But that's the main part. Like, we've created the thing called Sunday League culture.
Local level as well.
They have local level football.
Like Sunday League culture is known across England.
So Sunday League culture is the reason why English football culture.
No, but it just shows how it stems all the way from below all the way up to the Premier League.
But there's low-level football in Italy. It's just
there's low-level football, but it's just
they play on Saturdays.
But we're talking about the culture. We're talking about the culture now.
No, but they do. They play on Saturdays. Do you understand?
I know you guys play it, but I'm saying the magnitude of it, the level of it, the size of it isn't as big as Sunday League.
Do you think the away crowd for Serie A teams, when they go into other teams for the Champions League, is better than some of the Premier League's atmosphere?
100%. I'm not going to say like they outsing every single crowd, but in England in general, they definitely do. Look at Roma against Tottenham last season. You couldn't hear the Tottenham fans. It was the Roma fans dominating.
I think you can also say that though for away fans in general. Like, for example, I think Man United have some of the best away fans in the entire country. I've heard us when we go to away stadiums in Europe. We've gone to Germany, we've gone to Italy, we've gone to Spain. You can hear our fans in the corner up when they put the City fans up in the Bernabeu, up in the echelons, and you can still hear them. And that's City fans we're talking about, by the way. So you can say the same thing about all general away fans.
Tell me about Naples, how it nearly burnt down when Napoli won the league.
Well, Napoli hadn't won a league title from 1990 to 2023 when there was last with Maradona. So for them, winning the league title, it was unique. It was the best moments of their lives. They got tattoos of it. They embody football, Napoli. They love it. So they shut down the streets. They shut down the whole... I think that nobody went to work for like 2 days.
It pains me to say this, but I remember when Man City first won their league title, I mean, I'm sure Manchester was going crazy. Liverpool last year, they've won Premier Leagues, they've won titles, but still you saw the city of Liverpool got shut down. I reckon, sadly, if Arsenal win the league this year, I reckon London's going to be impossible to walk through. You can say the same thing about every other team. Leicester, I'm sure that happened, exactly the same thing happened. Nothing that you're saying that happens in Italy doesn't happen in England, but more.
I don't think to the same extent, especially for the bigger clubs. For example, when City, when the bus parade is a Mickey Mouse bus parade, it's a joke. Barely anyone there. If a top club in Italy wins the league,
Hey, decide below who you think won. Is Italy's football culture better than those in the Premier League and in world football? On to the next round.
Italian football is tactically superior to English football.
I disagree. In the Premier League, you see a lot of tactical diversities. If we're keeping it strictly to Serie A, it's really a lot of low block, defensive style football. And I'm not trying to just generalize here, but that's the general consensus of what Serie A and Italian football is. Whereas in the Premier League, there's a lot of tactical diversity, especially like when Klopp came with his counter-pressing style for Liverpool, Pep coming in from Spain, implementing tiki-taka. Almost all of the Premier League try to implement that possession style football. I feel like in the Premier League, when it comes to tactics, there's a lot of diversity. A lot of teams play different. And that's also because it's been taken from different countries. Obviously, Conte came into Chelsea, played 3-4-3. A lot of teams after that, they started adopting the 5 at the back system.
That's the reason why I believe that Italian football tactics are superior, because the tactical diversity comes from different countries. English football doesn't have an identity. The Premier League is based off power and athleticism and speed. A lot of the great managers you named came from abroad. Klopp, German style of football. Pep Guardiola, Spanish style of football, tiki-taka, but he was also influenced by Johan Cruyff. Dutch football, total football, he was influenced by his time at Baresi as well. We've spoken about when he was in Italy. Italy's foundations are based upon the defensive side of the game. Like you said, catenaccio, zonal pressing, the offside trap that Sacchi's Milan sort of implemented and made popular, let's say. Italian football has an identity. Then when you talk about Italian managers in the Premier League, they're far more successful than English managers. No English manager has ever won the Premier League. You look at Conte, he won the league with you guys in 2017. Ancelotti won the league, Mancini won the league in 2012. Ranieri won the league. That's 4 Italian managers who all shaped English football.
Okay,
Leicester's title winning team is arguably the greatest moment in football history, some would argue. That was shaped by Ranieri.
I need to stop you right there. That is 3 red cards, and you, my friend JS, you have been sent off. Firaz, pick up where JS left off.
If we're talking about British football in general, so Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest managers of all time, I think his style of football, especially playing through 3 decades in the 90s, in the 2000s and 2010s, that direct transitional football, not just keeping the ball, not playing low block, it's just exciting football. That's, I think, one manager that really brought that dynamism to the Premier League. You seem like a tactics guy. Am I right in saying that? You know your...
I like to think so, you know?
Yeah, so for example, with Pep Guardiola, his setup of the 2-3-5 in possession, he basically brought that into football with the centre-backs, with the right-backs inverting into midfield.
That's not true.
That is true. With him playing
he didn't bring that into football.
I'm saying him playing into the Premier League.
Yeah, but where did he get that from?
You tell me.
No, who was playing the libero role a lot in the 80s? Which team?
The 2-3-5.
No,
I'm talking about the 2-3-5 in possession.
Inverting, right?
Yes.
John Stones would come into midfield.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
He was in that libero role where he'd be in defence, move into the midfield. That was coming a lot from Italian football in the 80s. He said it himself.
I'm just saying, what in the Premier? Yeah, I know he said.
I know he brought it to the Premier League.
League.
It stemmed from German and Italian football. Beckenbauer was a libero, Scirea was a libero. These guys here. So that stems from abroad again. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
There's no denying Sir Alex Ferguson, incredible coach.
Yeah, so that exactly like I was saying about Sir Alex Ferguson, about his 4-4-2. I think he's one of the main managers that basically brought in that 4-4-2 into the Premier League, created that style of football that the Premier League played for so many years.
Well, guess what? That is 3 red cards. So you, my friend, have been sent off as well. Luca is cooking.
Who would you say arguably are the 2 best young and upcoming coaches in the Serie A right now? I can help you a bit. I would probably go Cesc Fabregas. He's doing a very good job.
Option, yeah.
And I also think Carlos Cuesta is not at the best starts we're picking up, and their style of play is very good at Parma right now.
He's good, yeah.
And I would argue that both of them two came from England. So they brought the 2 most upcoming prospects in the Serie A management right now are been inspired by English football. And they've now gone to the Serie A, where historically, very tactical, astute league, like you said, defensive setups, etc. And I think at the moment, Como are playing one of the highest lines in the Serie A at the moment. Fabregas is bringing that style, which he brought from the Premier League, to influence the Serie A. And he's doing better than the likes of Fiorentina right now that are maybe not quite up to the level that the Premier League's bringing over to the Serie A, just like you might have brought stuff back in the day. I'd also like to talk about the fact that between the top clubs, maybe the top 6 in Italy, you've shared a lot of managers. Yeah. I'd argue that maybe is because you can't find any sort of tactical diversity there, so you just stick with the same thing and the same thing. There's no evolution. I'd say in England you get a lot bigger turnover of different managers. Not always English managers, but managers that have learned and grew up with their style in England.
Yeah, on the first point, Fabregas, Cuesta, they're doing very good, but I think exciting football doesn't correlate to success and results. If you go over, and again, this links into your second point, the most successful Italian managers or the most successful Serie A winning managers, they're the same as the Contes, the Allegris, the Ancelottis, the Capellos. And yes, they've been recycled around the top clubs, but it's because they win.
Would you say that's not like a lack of evolution in tactics, and if it's the same sort of process that it was 20, 30 years ago, you're still relying on the same process?
Potentially, but at the end of the day, I'm sure you wouldn't care if you won a league title. I would agree that the Premier League is very diverse in terms of different teams playing different styles of football, but again, it's all adopted from abroad. It's not really English style of play. Look at the Italian national team compared to the English national team, for example. The results slapped from the face: 4 World Cups, 2 Euros. Italy beating England in the Euros 2021 with Mancini against Southgate. Southgate in that game was tactically inept. You guys went 1-0 up. Honestly, at that point, you should have carried on for the second goal. You would have been in a much better position had you not defended for the rest of the game. And overall, in that whole tournament, I think Italy were the best team. They were the most set up team.
I agree internationally because we had to go off Southgate. Unfortunately, we're talking about Serie A and the Prem.
No, it was Italian football compared to English football.
Italian football.
In the comments, decide, is Italian football still tactically better than English football?
Maldini, Baresi, Scirea and Nesta all better than the best Premier League defenders of all time.
Big statements. I'll definitely have to say that Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, they were part of the 14 clean sheets that, Man U played. So definitely wouldn't say that they're better than them. Like Rio Ferdinand, just the history, everything that he's done, his fierceness, the way, that he played for Man United, there's no way that he's better than them.
They're very good centre-backs. I'm not denying that Rio and Vidic aren't all-time Premier League centre-halves, but I think those guys there that I named, they shaped defending forever. When you talk about Italy, you think about defending. These guys here are on the Mount Rushmore of defenders. If you look at the importance in Baresi, Scirea, these guys for their club and country. Baresi won back-to-back European Cups with AC Milan in 89 and 90, formulating one of the most impressive defensive teams of all time. That team with Sacchi formed catenaccio, zonal pressing. They revolutionized the offside trap. Young Maldini was also part of that team. These guys here shaped history forever. Then you look at Gaetano Scirea, captain, leader, legend of Juventus and Italy, 1982 World Cup, conceding only 6 goals. And 2 of them came against Brazil. And that 1982 Brazil team is one of the greatest teams of all time, with guys like Falcao, Zico. They had no right, Italy, to beat that Brazil team. But because they were so strong defensively, the foundations is the reason why we even won that. And even in the 2006 World Cup, Nesta, granted he was injured for a part of it, but still the best defender on paper in that team, alongside Cannavaro. But I think Nesta's better anyway. That's subjective.
I agree. Obviously, especially with Italy being known for being a very defensive, strategic team, as we kind of spoken about previously. Yep. But there's no way that you can say that Rio Ferdinand and what Vidic did during that era, especially just knowing how historic Man United is. There's no way that those 2 players you're going to kind of put them down and say that they're not
I'm not putting them down. I'll ask you this, Shane. Because similar generation, would Rio and Vidic start over Cannavaro and Nesta in the 2006 Italy squad? Would any of them 2 get in there? And I didn't even name Cannavaro as one of my 4.
Hold on. Well, you got 3 red cards, but I'll let you answer that question.
Both great defenders that we've kind of named off. Obviously, it's always going to be subjective depending on, what I believe. Obviously, you're obviously Italian. I'm obviously a massive Manchester United fan, but I would say that both those players there would definitely give them a run for their money.
Well, that is 3 red cards, and you have been sent off. Bring on the next person. All right, JS, begin.
Well, yeah, Terry definitely gets in better than one of those players.
In the 2006 World Cup, Terry would start, you think?
Definitely. Terry is in 5 World 11s in a row from 05 to 09. I'll say from 2004 to 2009, he was definitely a top 3 centre-back in the world. Chelsea 04-05, part of the iconic defence that only conceded 10 goals from open play. He has the most goals from any defender in Premier League history. He has 5 Premier Leagues as a captain. That's the most, alongside Roy Keane, joint most for captaining the side to Premier League. His first Premier League was in 04-05, did it again at 34 in the 14-15 season, playing every single minute. So many big moments, not just defensively, but going forward. His iconic headers, making a difference in the opposition box. Terry, definitely.
I got a lot of respect for Terry. I think he's one of the most underappreciated centre-halves of all time. So I hear everything you're saying. I think with the offensive side of the game, it's not as important for a centre-back, especially when ranking defenders. Would you argue that? Do you think that Ramos is the best defender of all time, for example?
No, I'll say the offensive part was just a sub point. I was taught he's defensive. We all know Terry's defensive capabilities, but the fact that he can do and chip in,
it's a bonus.
It's a bonus. The fact you can chip in 100%. With iconic goals in big moments for your team, it's really important.
I'm not denying that.
I don't think any of your defenders have done something.
Well, Maldini scored in the Champions League final. But nobody talks about it because it's not really relevant to Maldini's greatness.
Very true.
Because when you're talking about defenders, you're talking about the defensive side of the game, and John Terry was an incredible defender. But I think in that generation, I do think Nesta, for example, Maldini, who played in the 2000s, they overlapped with John Terry. I think they were still superior to John Terry. When you look at Maldini, for example, he's arguably, I think most consider him to be the greatest of all time, but in 2 different positions, a left back and centre back. He predominantly played as a left back, but he's also considered the greatest centre back of all time. So Nesta as well. When you talk about technical players, I'm sure you're going to mention about Van Dijk. Nesta was an OG technical defender. He was doing what Van Dijk's doing now 20 years before that.
JS has received 3 red cards and has been sent off. KM, begin.
Gotta be Virgil van Dijk. I'm so happy the 4 names you named. One wasn't Cannavaro because he has one thing that no one else has, obviously. The Ballon d'Or as a centre-back, but the second highest place finish was Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
He's reached peaks and highest amount that none of the other 4 centre-backs have had. Even Nesta in an interview in the last couple of years said he thinks Van Dijk is the greatest defender currently, obviously. Speaking about himself. And I think Van Dijk arguably is one defender. You drop him into any team, I don't think they skip a beat. I don't think they lose anything. You've also mentioned Italian football, where I think defenders and that kind of love and tenacity for defense has come from it, even tactically. But my thing is, Van Dijk's doing this in a current time where football's very advanced, it's very attacking, it's very offensive. He's played in this Liverpool team where considered 21 goals in a 19-20 season. And that's not a record, but 21 goals in a 38 game campaign is extremely high, especially when you look at the type of football we play. Nesta, Maldini, arguably you got the 2 greatest defenders playing together in the same team. Van Dijk's playing in a team where he's got Alberto Moreno, Andy Robertson bombing down, Trent on the other side. Van Dijk's had to
Still
carry
very good defenders though, very good. With Alisson behind.
Alisson, yes, or
the defense
even
is very good.
No, it's good, but it's very open. I think what Van Dijk has to do is maybe more than any other great defenders had to do. You talk about the John Terrys, the Ferdinands that I love. They had exceptional partners beside them, both of them. Van Dijk's had to do this in teams where he's clear and arguably away the best defender in that team. He's had to defend the more space dragging into the channel. And when he retires, people will be able to look back and really appreciate what he's done.
I think Van Dijk's incredible. I do. And I think he's one of the most well-rounded centre-backs the game's ever seen, especially in the 2010s. I think he's the best. However, on your Ballon d'Or point, for example, Scirea and Baresi played in an era where defenders would rarely ever even place top 10 in a Ballon d'Or, so it's very different in terms of context. When you look at Maldini, he was never in for a Ballon d'Or, but I think in terms of like the fact that Cannavaro won one, Maldini could have easily won one. He wasn't part of the 2006 World Cup squad, so he couldn't even be nominated for that in that regard. Nesta actually placed 4th in the Ballon d'Or, and I think 2000, playing for Lazio, and he won them the league. I think that's the only time Lazio have won the league from like 1970s onwards. So in the modern era, they've only won 1 league title, and that was for Nesta, and he placed 4th. Van Dijk played in a Liverpool team that was much stronger, also won the Champions League that season, and we all know that whoever wins the Champions League is always higher in the Ballon d'Or ranks in general. So I don't think the Ballon d'Or is a great metric. However, context-wise, Van Dijk really started performing at the highest level, I would say, from 2018 onwards. So I think like longevity at the top of football, maybe slightly lower than the other 4 that I named personally. And I also think that he went up against, I don't want to say weaker attackers because I don't want to disrespect him, but I think, for example, John Terry played in a much tougher era of the Premier League. For example, going up against better attackers. Scirea and Baresi went up against Maradona, Van Basten, Gullit, Baggio, top players. Maldini and Nesta went up against, well, they overlapped with Ronaldo, Messi, but they also went up against Ronaldo the Phenomenal, Zidane, Del Piero, Totti, incredible attackers. And you look at Nesta, who was, I think, 34, 35 in 2012 going up against Lionel Messi. And if you watch that game back, that was the same Messi that got 91 goals in a calendar year. And he dealt with Messi very well, way past his prime. So I think Van Dijk's a great player, but I think he deserves, I think if he can continue winning and be at the top level of football for a little bit longer, I think it would give him a better chance. But
Luca, that is 3 red cards, and KM, you have been sent off.
Prime AC Milan is better than Prime Man City, and you got me defending AC Milan, bro. This isn't a good thing.
All right, before we start, we need to establish what is Prime AC Milan and what is Prime Man City. So tell me, what is Prime AC Milan?
Prime AC Milan would be the late 80s to early 90s, so like 87 to 90. And for me, Prime City would probably be late 2010s to 2023, but treble winning City from like 2018 to treble winning.
If we can pick one squad, what are you going with?
I'd go treble.
What
for you
you
guys.
I'm picking the treble squad.
Yeah. I think that AC Milan is superior because they won back-to-back European Cups in an era where it was very difficult to win the Champions League. It was very defensive based, and Saki's football, as I said, revolutionized the art of defending. Baresi, Maldini, Costa Curta, these guys were vital in the defense. Not only that, but they had the 3 Dutchmen, Rijkaard, Gullit, Van Basten. 2 of those are Ballon d'Or winners in that period as well. They beat Steaua Bucharest 4-0 in a European Cup final. To this day, one of the most dominant performances ever in a European Cup final. And on the road to that as well, they beat Madrid 5-0 in a semi-final, the most embarrassing result in Madrid's history. And they completely revolutionized Italian football at the time. A lot of teams past that based their football upon Saki's Milan, and they also played in their generation where it was very tough to win the Serie A.
Let's talk. I want to talk about trophies now. Yeah.
Okay,
you said they won their back-to-back.
Yes.
Was that what? Back-to-back Champions League?
Yes. European Cups, but yeah.
Did they win the league?
Yeah.
Both
Once.
times?
No.
But if you're gonna pick one year, what year would you pick?
I would go 88, 89. The 4-0 win in the European Cup final.
So you won the Champions League?
Yeah. Well, no, it's something new, man. I'm a Juventus.
sorry. AC Milan won the Champions League. Did they win the league that year as well?
No.
They didn't?
No.
Did they win the Coppa Italia?
No. I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so.
So that's already trophies out the window.
Okay.
We won 5 that year. Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, Super Cup, Club World Cup. We completely wiped the whole world.
A lot of those trophies didn't exist back then as well, though, by the way.
Okay, cool. But the 3 main, you just said that they didn't win the Coppa Italia, which is the FA Cup. Yeah. I would say 2023 Premier League, I think it's harder to win than the Scirea back then. But I'm sorry.
If I put context into it, they only won 1 in that 4-year stretch. City won 4 in a row.
Yeah, but
they were farming the Premier League.
Back then,
it was more competitive, the Serie A back then.
They weren't better athletes back then. Like nutrition, everything. They were smoking cigarettes in the changing room before half time. Like,
it was different football though. You have to compare it relative though. Relative for that generation.
It's hard to though.
And also you were going up against, if I'm not wrong, that season you were going up against a very young Arsenal team, a very inexperienced Arsenal team. They were on top for the majority of the season.
I think, like I said
you think before, they were experienced?
I think Arsenal have been the best team in the last 3-4 years.
Thank you.
I genuinely do.
So in the treble winning City season, they had a better squad than you.
No, I think my team was the best squad.
Who threw the league
of
away?
all time?
They
did, exactly. That's because of how good we were.
Even in the Champions League though, Brads, the final, would you say you were the better team in that game?
Then Inter?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of course we were.
No, you are.
Of course we were.
I don't think so. I think you were very lucky to win that Champions League final. And I'm very grateful, by the way, you won.
We were lucky.
I'm very...
No way.
No,
You're talking about,
You were.
One of the greatest moments in Rodri scoring that goal.
For you.
Inter didn't come... Inter didn't...
And me as well.
No, but genuinely, Inter did not come that close.
But I'm very grateful that you won. As I said, I wanted City to win, that you did me a favour. But I don't think it was an incredible performance.
I agree with you. We had an off
final.
game. We did have an off game.
And I would even argue, I know you put forward treble winning City, but I don't think that's the best Pep Guardiola City team in general. In terms of accolades, of course it is. You won everything. I believe that City underachieved massively in Europe in that period. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah.
And it was almost inevitable that eventually he should win the Champions League. Whereas Saki's Milan team, it wasn't expected that they'd win in such a dominant fashion in that moment in time.
Did AC Milan go undefeated in that Champions League one?
They actually didn't lose a game, yeah.
They didn't lose a game?
They didn't lose a game.
All right, cool. But what was their run? We had to play Real Madrid 4-0, smackery. That was the most dominant game I've ever seen. Real Madrid could literally not touch the ball.
Yeah,
Bernardo Silva brace. Oh my days, it was incredible. Against Bayern Munich, they said we couldn't do nothing to Bayern Munich. We're gonna get knocked out by them. At their home ground, 1-1, cool. They take that. At our home ground, 3-0, absolutely demolished them. Leipzig 7-0, Haaland 5 goals. This team was incredible. Yeah, you're talking about Ballon d'Or, all of this, but Haaland should have won a Ballon d'Or as well. Let's be realistic here. If Messi, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's a bit of a robbery.
Messi's your guy, though.
Yeah, I love Messi, but Haaland should have that Ballon d'Or. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think you make valid points, and City's run to the final was incredible. But one thing I will say is in the old European Cup run, it was only the winners of each league title that qualified for the European Cup. It wasn't top 4 like it is now. They changed it, I think, in like 92, 93, in the 90s, right?
So less teams.
Yeah, less teams, but but you can't use that as a dig because it's the best of the best. It's the best teams in every country, so it's based solely off merit back then. That's how.
And
it
I
worked.
just told you we beat the best teams of each country.
But Inter weren't the best team of Italy. They didn't win the league that year.
They got to the finals, back-to-back finals. By no, 2 finals in 3 years.
Yeah, but
which is crazy.
But they weren't the best of the best.
That is 3 red cards for you, Braz, and that ends the debate. In the comments, let us know which one's better, prime AC Milan or prime Manchester City. All right, Brad, before you go, Luca has one more question for you.
What?
Conte's Serie A legacy is better than Pep Guardiola's Premier League legacy.
This
is why he kept you back, by the way. This is why he wanted you.
Oh my days. Why? Just tell me why.
Okay, I'll put all the cards on the table.
Wait, well, first of all, does he have a European trophy?
No, but I said domestic.
Okay,
legacy.
then I'll leave, bro. That's it. It counts. That's it. I'm done. Finished.
That's the best of the best.
Okay, well then I could argue that Pep Guardiola's underachieved in Europe massively for Manchester City.
But he done it. He got
well
the trophy.
done. He spent £1 billion and he won a Champions League for City. That's very impressive. It's very good.
And he also won 4 in a row.
4 in a row.
100 points.
Yeah.
Battled with City Pool era with 90 plus points every single season.
Okay.
How many seasons has he been in the Premier League?
10 years.
How many Prems?
6.
That's 60%.
And okay, fine.
2 FA Cups.
It's good. It's good. It is impressive.
4 League Cups.
It's impressive.
18 trophies.
Let him tell us about
Alright, go on.
I'll start back in 2011 when Conte joined Juventus after back-to-back 7th place finishes. They had just been relegated 4 years before. There was no right for Juventus to win that league title, and in 11-12 he won the league in his first season. Do you know what's famous about that season?
What?
He won the league invincible. He didn't lose a single game. So that's one thing. He's an invincible winner.
Farmers League.
Second year, it's not Farmers League. Second year, he went back-to-back, so he won 2 in a row. And in the third year, he won it, getting 102 points, the most points ever in the top 5 leagues. Pretty impressive, right? Winning,
that's good.
Yeah, most points ever in the top 5 leagues. Winning 19 home games from 19, never done before. So that's 3 years in a row. Then he goes to the national team.
How many wins in that season?
I don't know how many wins, but it was 19
And
home
how many
wins.
losses? Because that's very important. Because when we're talking about dominance and
Well, he got
the
102
best,
points.
102, yeah, but that's
More
102 points does not weigh the same as 100 points in the Premier League. We know that.
But you have to put context to it. He's in the Serie A. So I'm not saying my points are better than yours. They're just more, I'm saying. But anyway, he built the foundations for Allegri's team that carried on winning. So he created the foundations and the building blocks for the most dominant dynasty in Italian football history. 9 league titles in a row. That will never get replicated. Then he goes to Inter Milan in 2019. In his second year, he wins the league with Inter Milan, dethroning Juventus, destroying the dominance that he built originally at Juventus. He wins the league with Inter, he leaves after, but he built the foundations for Inzaghi's team that went to 2 Champions League finals, won 2 more league titles. Then he leaves the league, he comes back to Napoli. In his first year for Napoli, he wins the league against all odds. Again, beating the Inter team that he built up. There are only 2 seasons that Antonio Conte has coached in the Serie A without winning the league. And that is this current season, which is still ongoing, so he might win the league. So there's only 1 full season where he didn't win the league. So statistically, he has a better record in winning Scudetto titles in Italy than Pep does for City. He's done it at 3 different clubs, spending less money with less of a right to win, because he never came into the best team in the country
You
once.
can't say that. They're 2 different leagues, bro. All I heard was Conte is just farming the Farmer League.
How?
Like, he's just going everywhere he goes, he just wins because he's the best.
Brad, closing point for why Pep's legacy is better than Conte's.
More trophies.
In more time.
He's dominated. He's broken every single record. Like before, he's literally made people think Premier League is boring because of how much he dominated. Like there's never been a manager like him.
Conte's Serie A legacy or Pep's Premier League legacy? Comment down below.
Juventus and AC Milan combined are bigger than Liverpool and Manchester United combined.
For this one, we had to do a 1v2. So let's start off with you, Luca, as you are at a disadvantage.
More trophies, better players.
Oh, you started there.
None of your managers will ever be better than Sir Alex Ferguson, and that's just a fact.
Maybe not categorically better individually, but I think the abundance of coaches that have coached the 2 clubs combined are better than the abundance of coaches that have coached both of them 2 clubs combined. You look at Trapattoni, Lippi, Allegri, Conte, Sacchi, Capello, so many legendary Ancelotti, so many legendary managers have coached both of them too. Maybe not the best of the best. I would agree that Ferguson is better than any individual coach that has coached them 2 clubs, but I think overall as a collective, the manager's side, I think we have better overall.
I think, yeah, maybe the managers, but even that dominance, I think Bill Shankly, obviously in the Series A, is that dominant Liverpool team that I think won 6 or 7 English League titles. We have, I think, comparable in the amount, sure, but I think top level, like you mentioned, Fergie, Bill Shankly for ourselves, more modern day. I think we've spoken more on Klopp as well, as much as what he's done, brought into it. When you talk about biggest, it reach as well, it matters. I know we spoke about the commerciality of the game and sporting rights, but with our attraction where we can go to Singapore, we can go to China, wherever in pre-season, where we can sell out stadiums that are just watching us train. I think that global reach, that commerciality with Liverpool and United, you never walk alone, is synonymous with the fandom, the showcasing, and that's been taken and adapted as well with Borussia Dortmund fans and all over the world. I think legacy and that impact, I think United and Liverpool, even where we are not at the heights of our games, where Liverpool have not been performing in the early 2000s to 2010s, and we still, on the European level, we've still been able to be relevant. We've been able to be in about, so we haven't been domestically. I think when we talk about the dominance and the bigness pause of the two clubs respectively, I think with what we offer, obviously Ballon d'Or winners as well, we both have that in Ronaldo, Michael Owen.
But we have a lot more. Juventus and AC Milan are tied on Ballon d'Or winners. We're tied third behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. So.
But even that, I guess errors, a lot of the dominance with AC and Juve on kind of that level, even Ballon d'Or winners, was not in the last 20 years or so, I'd say. That, I think,
which players have won the Ballon d'Or in the last 20 years for you guys? Ronaldo, Owen.
Yeah.
We have Nedved, 2003. Kaká, that's already tied. And then Cannavaro's a bit like, he won it for his time at Juventus, but he got awarded it at Madrid. So it's a bit like, it's the same. On the European Cups, we have the same amount, but Juventus and AC Milan have reached more finals in general, total, and you're going to say, yeah, but you lost them, whatever. But we're getting further in Europe, so we're just more consistent. In terms of league titles, you guys have 40 combined, don't you? 20 and 20. Yeah. Juventus have 38 alone. AC Milan have 19. So already league titles blowing out the water. We're more dominant in our leagues compared to you guys. In terms of players, obviously it's subjective, but I do believe that we have had much better players combined than you guys have. In terms of commercial, I agree with you. Probably fan base overall, you guys are more combined, but I think that's also down to the fact that the Premier League has grown exponentially in the era of social media, in the era of streaming, where the global reach is naturally going to be higher compared to when the Serie A was on top. So I think you've got to put context into that. Had social media existed in the 80s, potentially it would be different. Potentially Juventus and AC Milan might have a bigger reach than United and Liverpool. These are all hypotheticals. But I think in terms of the brand, AC Milan and Juventus are still massive. Maybe you guys take that. But on the pitch stuff, which I think is more important, Juventus and AC Milan overall are more well refined.
Let us know in the comments who you think won, Liverpool or Manchester United, or Luca with AC Milan and Juventus.